He's not
circumstances.
the
So
only coach that's going through this. Brindamore had to go
yeah,
through this.
I understand, but again, like the Rangers didn't. They didn't react well to it. Obviously, the way that Carolina did, who did a much better job of it. So, but again, this is a complete monkey wrench thrown into the entire thing. I think it's hard to make any type of decisions, assessments, or whatever you want to say on this team based on what went on the last 3 games, just because of everything going on, which is what makes this so difficult. And I think for us to look at the series itself and where this team is at, I feel like you almost have to separate what went on in that series with where this team is as far as the rebuilding going forward. I really don't think anything that happened in these three games should have any bearing on what this team is doing going forward.
All
Or
right, KD. All right, I agree with you. Look, as far as next year and going forward, and the way we've talked about this team and everything else, but a couple of those things, like I said, kind of concern me, like the mental breakdowns. Stahl's a veteran. He should have been screaming for a stick. I don't get it. I don't understand the shit. And the conditioning part of it, I mean, come on. I mean, to me, that's everybody's on the same plane there. I mean, that's just basic stuff for me. Because I guess, I agree with you. We're on the same page. Like I said, the team's going to go forward. Yes, COVID-19, the breakdown and everything else. But to me, that's stuff that just shouldn't have happened. In addition to all the other mental breakdowns and everything else, that to me is just like a team that just, where are their heads? That's like mental stuff. And these guys have been playing together all year. Yeah, they had a little bit of break, but they were paying attention. They had NHLPA meetings, right? They knew they were going to get back playing at some point. The guys had to start training back at home. There was a game plan. They started skating. They were rolling. All that stuff. It's not like they've never played hockey before, whether there's 20,000 people in the stands or not. My concern is, and again, it's done. It's finished. We move on. Whether they start the camp next year, whether we got fans coming back to games, or whether they don't, or however the hell the league's going to do it again going forward, they'll take this experience. They played the bubble. They'll make all these notes and change it. But I have to sit here and say I'm just really teed off at some of the just general fundamental mistakes that a professional hockey team with some really high-paid athletes on this team, and the mistakes that they made in yes, a short period of time. But again, every other team is going through this. And I'm just, those are the things that I'm angry at more than anything. I said it yesterday on Monday that I hope they would go down fighting. They didn't go down fighting at the end. They should have been, and I don't know, who the hell am I? I mean, I'm just sitting here, I'm being an armchair quarterback and everything else, and who am I to say that, yeah, Chris Kreider gave up, or he quit, and Strome and Zibanejad and all those other guys, playing Truber and Tony D and all that other stuff. I don't know. I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what they're going through. But as a fan, if you're the fan that either, buys the season tickets or pays for the subscription to watch them on TV and buys the jerseys and you get invested into it, at least you don't want to see the team make the basic stupid mistakes that, that's where you should have learned in Bantam, not give your defenseman a stupid stick that maybe they get out of that first period with a lead, maybe changes things, or your goaltender loses a goddamn stick and he can't, the defenseman, I mean, what is that? So those are a couple of things that, all right, Paulie, shut up, you're going crazy on it, but those are the things that stand out for me. It's like, are you guys kidding me? So anyway, back to you.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, what went on in these these 3 games is embarrassing. I mean, the Rangers should be embarrassed of what went on there. I mean, you mentioned the third period. I mean, this is it. Third period, elimination game, tie game. I mean, they should have put everything out there. Everything should have been, on the line and every effort put forward. And it was, it wasn't there. I mean, the third period was embarrassing. It looked like they weren't trying. And like I said, I don't know if they were just demoralized by what happened at the end of that second period and the Hurricanes were lifted by it. So again, it's more that the Hurricanes were just better and they raised their level and it stifled what the Rangers were doing. But, it didn't look like there was much effort there in the third period, with your season on the line. I mean, you would have liked to see more from the team. So I don't think you're wrong. And, I feel the same way. It was beyond disappointing, embarrassing. And it is something to keep an eye on, I guess, for next year. Is it, you know, does that type of effort does that seep into this team now? And how do they start the beginning of next year? Similar to what we saw the last three games, or what we saw back, when the season shut down in March. So, it's definitely something that's going to be in the back of my head going into next season, whenever that is. What Ranger team are we getting here? Is it the team that we were all excited about in March, or is it the one that laid an egg here in these last three games? So, I don't think you're wrong in being, at least a little bit concerned. Again, I don't know where my making excuses here is, again, just because of everything that went on. And maybe some of these guys did want to come back and play. Maybe they just didn't want to be there because of everything going on with COVID, and they wanted to be with their families, and they worried about look, that could be going on, and that's legitimate. But, it was disappointing.
To say the least.
It is. It was embarrassing. I mean, it's a tough pill, I think, for fans to swallow that they went out the way they did. It just is.
All right, let's talk about it, and let's get it out early here in the show. Hank.
Na 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 na.
All right, but how do they do?
Hey.
What do they do? What are they doing here? What do you give me? What is it? There's 2-3 scenarios, right? He stays. He's happy. He's going to be a backup. He'll teach Chesty. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, they buy him out. Number three, he demands a trade.
Yeah, I think he stays. I mean, I've seen way too many. Was that Hank's last game? And bye, and you were the best. I don't know. He's such a competitor, and he loves the Rangers so much. And is he really going to leave $8.5 million on the table? Also, I understand he's older, and I read Larry Brooks's article about the start of the Swedish league season is starting on time, and does he want to just go back and play for Frölunda with his brother, who's captain? And I don't know, man. I just don't see him going out like that. I see him want to come back. He wants to be a Ranger. I'm assuming he wants to finish out that lucrative contract that he has. And I also just don't see the Rangers, buying him out also. He's still apparently, just reading the numbers, I think that he'd still be charged, like $5 million or $5.5 million against the cap, and the Rangers would only be saving. Actually, I think it's like $5 million against cap, so I think they'd only be saving $3.5 million. And then you're still trying to decide what you're going to do if you're buying him out. You still have to re-sign Georgiev, so then you probably are using half of that $3 million savings on Georgiev. So I don't know if it even makes sense to do it. And then you have another year of money, on the cap. So the following year, you have some more dead cap space. So, I think that, just my opinion, I have no insight whatsoever on it. I think he stays. I think the Rangers look to move Georgiev, and that's the way they play it out.
All right.
I know you don't like that. I don't know. I know you don't like that.
No, look, hey, let's be honest with you. Look, yes, I love Georgie. Yes, I think, but I also said, too, he's your asset if you really trade and get anything of value, anything back. I mean, that's what you got to do. I just hope, we don't have more surprise. I just hope Shesterkin doesn't end up. I mean, you could see it, man. He was so good. I give the kids a lot of credit, man. He stood up, and he was really confident. He played well. I don't blame him for the loss at all. So, I mean, when he's in there and he's good and he's consistent, man, you can definitely see it. I mean, he's just a superstar goaltender. There's no doubt about it. My concern is the off-ice stuff. I still want to know what kept him out of the first two games. I don't care. I want somebody to tell me he had a toothache. I just want to know why he didn't play the first two games. I want to know why. And then back. What?
No, I was going to say, we'll eventually find out whether the team releases it or it gets leaked. I mean, at some point, we're going to find out.
Well, somebody's got to get on that because I do. I really want to know why he didn't play, because he looked real damn good last night. You know what I'm saying? So,
and especially for him not to play, the day before and then suddenly be good enough to play the next night. I mean,
yeah,
what was going on?
exactly.
I have and it could be anything. I mean, it really could. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, he had like a hamstring tweak. It could have been like he had migraines or something. Could have been anything, and which subsided by game time. Who knows?
So what's
it
the
could
deal?
have been?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I got nothing.
No, I said you go ahead first.
But I don't even remember what I was going to say.
So, let's say Frank, who the hell am I talking about? Oh, you know what it is? It's Falunda and Hank. That's where I got Frank from, everybody. Just want everybody
There you
to know.
go.
Well, I said Frank. So let's just say, if Hank says, I want to go, how does that work out with his contract? He loses that year? What happens there?
Yeah, he's retiring. And the Rangers don't have that money against the cap.
Now,
for
what
next
if he
year.
says, I want to go somewhere else in the league?
Well, then they would have to find a trade partner. They'd probably have to eat half his salary,
Okay.
and trade him. And the thing is with him asking to be traded, I mean, there's no guarantee if he goes somewhere he's going to be the man there. Also, I mean, he is almost 40 years old. I'm pretty sure most teams are, set in the goaltending department. So
What about
there's
Seattle?
no. Well, he won't be on the contract then. He'll be gone. The Seattle team doesn't start till not this year, the following year.
I know, but would that interest him in like a year to go there?
Yeah, maybe that it wouldn't be our problem then.
I know,
but
right?
I just don't see him wanting to leave New York for the potential of him getting some, being a starter somewhere else. What team, good team that could potentially make a cup run needs him? I just don't see it. I know we mentioned Colorado a couple of times, but I think they're set there, and they're probably going to have a little run here too. So, I don't think they'll be looking to bring in Lundqvist, as a potential backup for, $4 million, So, yeah, I just don't see that as being an option.
All right, so now, maybe not too much longer on the Hank thing, but here's my gut thing about Hank. And all season long, every episode, love, all hail the king, love him. Is it maybe just in the best interest of the team to maybe try and sit down with Hank and maybe try and maybe he needs to move on one way or the other? I don't know. Even if the Rangers, the money, everything else, maybe it just needs to just stop here. This whole rebuild and moving forward, as far as making something like that happen. Now, right away, we can forget about maybe the trade deadline and the whole season. Like I said, if that was going to happen, if he was going to get traded or go somewhere else, that's basically when it was going to happen. And again, he has a no trade clause, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
I am.
Okay, excellent. My computer just went crazy.
2020, baby.
Yeah, no, it's happening right now in front of me. Like all my screens are going crazy. Anyway, we'll keep going here unless it shuts down. So I was playing devil's advocate too, just about maybe him just maybe the organization just needs to move forward as much as it hurts one way.
Well, I think they're absolutely going to. I can't imagine that they won't have a conversation with him. I think that they may have even had conversations with him throughout the season. But I think they will. I think they'll go to him and wonder, well, where's your head at? They'll probably want to know what he's thinking because, look, it's been a tough year for him. I mean, before they went into this COVID, stop, he wasn't playing at all. Georgiev and Shesterkin were getting all the starts. He was barely even playing. So I'm sure the Rangers are going to want to gauge his temperature here. And what are you thinking? And could they potentially be nudging him in the